to thank all the folks that testified today. It's so important that we get this perspective from the ground to understand the real implications of these crazy energy and climate policies that are being proffered by this administration. Policies that will result in higher energy prices for American households, policies that will result in greater global emissions. Right now, looking at this Biden clean energy plan, it plays into the hands of China in that, number one, China is the top developer of solar panels. Nearly 90% of all the solar panels in the world come from China. China's cornered the market on rare earth and strategic minerals. So energy, battery technologies, renewable energy technologies, going to become more dependent upon them. This is transferring jobs from the United States, sending them to China. In return, we get higher energy prices in America and higher global emissions. I want to turn to Parish President Archie Chaisson to discuss another implication or adverse impact of some of these energy policies. We, as I mentioned, had 5 named hurricanes in 2020. And there's a relationship, not as good of a relationship as in onshore states, but there's a relationship between offshore energy production and revenues that Parish President Chaisson is able to use. And so I just wanted to see if he could discuss a little bit the impacts of reduced domestic energy production, which was proven under the Obama administration to only increase our dependence upon Russian imports of energy, not change the demand for different types of energy. But President Chaisson, could you talk a bit about some of the implications on your ability to protect your citizens if we continue moving down this path of the Biden energy strategy?
Yeah, thank you, Congressman. In Louisiana as a whole, and I mentioned in my comments, we use GOMESA money for hurricane protection and flood protection. So specifically in Lafourche Parish, I have 86 pump stations with 188 pumps on them that pump rainwater. And we pumped upwards. If you guys have watched the Weather Channel any, we have had some tremendous rain events here over the last few weeks. And we've pumped about 20 billion gallons of water out of Lafourche Parish into our wetland and coastal environments with a cost to the taxpayer of about $500,000 in fuel and other resources. So when we talk about GOMESA, we spend a tremendous amount of money. We have been taxing ourselves locally since the late 80s to build hurricane protection and flood protection here in Lafourche Parish. So having a dedicated resource from the federal government that we can partner with our local tax dollars, whether it comes from the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority inside the state of Louisiana, or whether it comes from our locals, having those matching dollars that we can use is critical. When we look at some areas of the South Lafourche community, the land elevation on the inside of our community is about a 0 to a -1 sea level. The water on the outside of our hurricane protection system in some cases is a +6 or a +7. So without those hurricane protection systems and these pump stations, we would have entire sects of our community that would be inundated with floodwaters and not have the ability to get to Port Fourchon. And while we talk about the economic impact of the port, there's a little thing called Louisiana Highway 1 that gets us down there. There's about an 8-mile stretch that's still an unelevated portion of that highway. We had to close that roadway during those 5 storms that Congressman Graves talked about. We had to close that road for a combination of 12 consecutive days. So for every hour that road is closed, it's a $22 million impact to the nation's GDP, not to Lafourche, not to the state of Louisiana, to our nation. So that's why things like GOMESA that helps fund this next project that we're doing to build the last 8.7 miles of elevated roadway are so important.
Great, thank you. Ranking Member Stauber, I just think that there's so many consequences that go beyond just the job implications, and I just want to quickly reiterate these policies that are being pushed by this administration. They are going to result in greater global emissions. For every 1 ton of emissions the United States has reduced, China's increased by 4. The Paris Climate Accord results in increased global emissions, the highly claimed accord. This is crazy what's going on. I can't say it enough. moving American jobs to China, increasing the cost to fuel our cars and heat and cool our homes. This results in increasing our trade deficit. And can you even imagine this concept of subjecting ourselves to China for our energy needs from a national security, energy security perspective? Completely failed strategies. Thank you, President Chaisson. I appreciate your input. And Ranking Member Starborough, I yield back.